Good morning guys, it's Wednesday the 20th of January and this is your starter for this morning. Hit pause on the screen, have a go at the starter, and when you're ready we're going to move on to the answers. And we're going to move on in 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Okay, pause the screen to give yourself a mark. Remember, a tick if you've got it and a dot if not. We're especially focused today on our recap, seeing what you remember from your lessons so far this week and last week. So today's lesson is all about finding area, and we looked at area for the first time yesterday. Perimeter is the distance outside a shape and area is the space on the inside. So today we're going to look at how we can find out what the area of that shape is. So here's my shape. And this is the area, the space it takes up on the inside. Okay, and there's lots of different ways that we could find it, but we're going to look at the simplest one today, finding area using shapes. Now, if you've looked at the title of this lesson, you probably already know the answer to this question, but I've got a circle and a square. Which one of them is going to be best to fill the space inside this rectangle, the area? Which one's going to match up the best? We can try the circles, but we're getting lots of here between, so that's not ideal. But if we use the squares to fill up our rectangle, they fit really neatly, there's no gaps in between. And we can count them up to find the area. So let's count these together. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. The area of the rectangle is 20 squares. Easy peasy. Here's another shape. We can see it's made up of squares, ready for us to count them to find the area. So let's count along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If this were me and I were doing this at home, I would cross off the squares as I go to make sure I'm not counting any squares twice, to make sure I'm not missing any squares. Here are some more shapes. Let's have a go at these. So this first one, 1, 2, 3. In fact, I'm going to take my pen, just cross them off as we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The area is 9 squares. Let's have a look at shape number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the area of this shape is 4 squares. And hopefully we can see here, this shape has also got an area of 4 squares. Even though they look different, they take up the same amount of space. Now, here's a shape made of lots of different coloured blocks. You could imagine this as being like a tiled floor, or maybe blocks of Lego that we've popped together. We can look at specific parts of it. We can find the area of the green shape, for example, the green area. So if we look at this, we can see there is 1 green squares, 2 green squares. So the green area is 2 squares. If we look for the orange area, I'm assuming they mean this sort of pinky orangey colour here. 1, 2, 3, 4. The orange area is 4 squares. The purple area, there's 1 square, 2 squares. The purple area is 2 squares. And the white area, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 squares. The total area is really easy to find out because total means all together. So we just count up the squares all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The total area is 12 squares. Now here's another shape. And to find the area, we're going to count the squares. It might take us a while, but it's a really, really clear way to do it. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The area is 12 squares. But I wonder, is there a quicker way to find the area of this shape? Could we use multiples, our times tables, for example? Let's have a look at this shape. Now when we use times tables, sometimes we talk about arrays, where we put our counters in rows and columns to show a times table. So for example, 2 rows of 7 to show 2 times 7. If this were an array, what is it showing us? How many groups of what do we have? Well, we could have 3 groups of 4 squares, or we could have 4 groups of 3 squares. Let's see what our friend here is going to do to work this out. So we can see first he's counted how many there are in this row going across, and there are 4. So in the next row there's another 4. 4 add 4 is 8. In the next row there's another 4, so that's 12. He's done 3 lots of 4, 3 times 4 to get 12. There we are, we can see his repeated addition sentence at the bottom. He could also have done 4 times 3 to find 12. He could have done it going down though, doing his columns. There are 3 in this column, 2 lots of 3 is 6, 3 lots of 3 is 9, 4 lots of 3 is 12, and we get the same answer both ways. So it's a really good way to check your answer as well if you're not sure. Here are some shapes, and we're going to work them out using our times tables. It's going to be a lot quicker than counting up each shape individually, although we can still do that if we're feeling stuck. So in this first shape, I have 2 columns. So here's 1 column, 2 columns. So I'm going to have 2 lots of something. If I count how many there are in this column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we've got 2 lots of 5, and 2 times 5, not my best handwriting in the world, is going to give us 10. So the area of this shape is 10 squares, and we can count them individually to check and find that, yep, we do have 10 squares. For number 2, we've only got 1 row, so we know we're going to be timesing by 1. We've got 1 lot of something. And if we count the squares going down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we know 1 lot of 6 is 6. Easy peasy, the area of this shape is 6 squares. And for our final shape here, we could go in columns or we could go in rows. It's entirely up to us, but whichever way we do, we're going to get the same answer, because this shape is split into 4 rows of 4. And 4 times 4 is 16. So the area of this shape is 16 squares. So lots of different ways to find it. Multiples are going to be faster and more efficient, but if you're still not sure, you can count each square by hand. It's just going to take you a much longer time. And here's our answers just to double check that we were correct. Fantastic. If we look at this shape, you'll notice there's something funny about this last box here. It's only filled half of the box. So what's the area of this shape going to be? We've got 1, 2, 3 full squares, and then we have this 1 half square. So the area of this shape is going to be 3 and a half squares, and this is how we're writing 1 half. It's 1 over 2. If we look at these shapes, we've got some more half squares here. The first one here, we've got 2 full squares and 1 half square. So the area of this shape would be 2 and a half. In this shape, we've got 2 full squares and we have 2 halves. What happens when we put 2 halves together? We get 1 whole. So we've got 2 full squares and 2 halves, and together they make 3 squares. And then in this final shape, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 full squares, 1, 2, 3, 4 half squares. We can put these halves together to make another whole, and we can put these halves together to make another whole. So we have 4 full squares, and these half squares make up 2. 4 add 2 is 6, to give us 6 squares as the area of this shape. Let's just check that we're correct with our answers. Okay, over to you now. So you're going to use what you've learnt today to count the area using squares on your quiz on Teams. If you get stuck, come back and rewatch the lesson. I know I've spoken very quickly again today. I am trying to slow down, I promise you. If you're still feeling stuck, you can always ask for help in the Ask the Teachers channel, and we'll work through a problem with you as soon as we can. Take care, be careful with your addition, and we'll see you later. Bye.